Overtime hustling.
Remember that story about Cindy you-know-who? When her Christmas was stolen, she knew what to do.
Why, Santa Claus? Why?
But what if I said that's not how it went down?
You gonna be okay? Because we can turn around right now.
No.
Poor girl. Her mother was killed. Her mind snapped.
Did you ever find the Christmas killer?
Never got a reliable description of the man.
Dad? He is out there! What if the Christmas killer is back?
This town cannot go through another Christmas killer thing. Not again.
Us folks down in Newville, we liked Christmas a lot. But that thing that lives just north of Newville does not.
What is it?
The mean one. He's slippery, he's elusive, he's a mean one, that mister.
I'm not gonna be a victim anymore. Time to roast this beast. You're a dead one, mister.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cuzzo, and we have Freezus in the building, and we have the wonderful privilege today to interview Mr. Stephen LaMorte, the producer, director of The Mean One, which is in select theaters now. Stephen, how you doing today?
I am doing great. I've got a movie in theaters. I'm excited.
I know, right? That's an incredible thing, man. So how did you develop your passion for producing and directing? Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, as an only child, you spend a lot of time, I was going to say playing by myself. You end up, with your toys in the sandbox, kind of coming up with little stories and ideas. And, something about, maybe it's because I'm an only child you always want to be the center of attention. And I always like making people laugh, right? Surprising and startling.
Right.
And ever since I saw Star Wars, I knew I wanted to create things on screen. So I used to do I used to shoot little Star Wars movies and hand draw, lightsabers and stuff, like one frame at a time. This is before their YouTube tutorials.
Right.
So I would shoot these little animation tests, stop motion. And when something wouldn't work, I would go and shoot a little bit more until I ended up with a movie. And I played it for a group of people and they laughed and, they giggled and they're like, oh, can we see it again? And I was hooked. That was it. After the first, living room filled with friends clapping at something I had made, I was like, that's it. This is it for me. And I've been shooting and directing movies ever since.
That's all right.
You just knew that was it.
I mean, really, I remember the day for sure. I was in New Jersey with, and I had South River, New Jersey is where I was. Okay.
Oh.
And, I had been kind of exploring filmmaking and, shooting little videos with some, just with my family and my cousins and, whoever was willing to hang out on a Saturday and shoot something. And this was the first time I had written out a script and got some people that I didn't know to come and say the words that, I had said, and they were wearing the costumes I had asked them to bring. And, we set up the shot, it was a wide shot looking down towards, but not on the train tracks. And, I pressed record on the little video camera that I had and they walked towards the camera and they said the words. They were wearing the outfits, and I don't even remember if the shot was good. I remember the clouds opening up and a sound in my head, and I was like, this is it. This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And
Wow.
I probably screwed up the shot, the shaking, because it was so powerful. It was a literal light bulb moment, and that was it for me.
So originally you're not from Los Angeles, but you're based in Los Angeles now.
That's right. I'm from Staten Island, New York.
So was it a decision to where you were like, okay, I'm going to LA now? or were you like, let me see, let me work on some things first and then shoot to LA?
Well, I went to school in, I went to college in New York. There's something I think about the city. It's got like an energy to it. There's like, a lot of hustling out there, and a lot of great creative work happening, and, people trying to collaborate and, kind of help each other out. But there wasn't as much, this is, more than 10 years ago, there wasn't as much independent production in New York, right? And New York was a place where studios weren't set up. It was a location, right? Like, oh, you're a California movie, and then you'll go to New York to shoot. It wasn't like a New York production. So I knew that if I wanted to not just be working on movies, but I wanted to be making movies, getting them made, that I kind of had to go west to be able to start the film. And then if I wanted to shoot in New York, I would just go there, and that would be kind of a location. It's not like that now. There's so much independent production happening, like New York shoots that are happening in New York. But at the time, was when I was like, okay, let me go and try it out. And if I book a New York job, I just won't tell them I left, and I'll just fly back. So the first 2 years I was living in Los Angeles, I was working predominantly in New York, paying the bills to, just keep flying back to LA and trying to kind of get myself started.
What was the first camera you used?
My first camera was, my first camera was a wired USB webcam. I think the resolution was like 320p or something, and I could only shoot movies the 4 feet that the camera could connect to my little computer. And then after that, it was, I think, a high 8 camera, and I had to use like a digitizer to get the analog signal into the computer. It was crazy. It was crazy, taking pictures to make my Legos move. I mean, it was, you learn a lot of patience doing it that way, for sure. And now we can do anything, even on a cell phone. And you're like, oh, if I had this and YouTube, when I started, man, who knows where I'd be today. But that's how these lessons are learned,
Right. I tried to shoot videos, and I remember the first time I tried on a point and shoot, and I'm in Home Depot, like I'm an overthinker. So I'm in Home Depot buying door peephole so I can try to make wide angle lenses and stuff like that.
Wow. Yep.
In PVC.
It's just crazy. Making movies, I mean, it's awesome. The things that people are doing now, especially like I do a lot of volunteering and stuff. And, when we're trying to teach the kids, like, don't get too lost in the editing software, right? Let's focus on shooting, focus on like getting your shots right. One of the first exercises we do is, and it's a little harder now because it's easy to cheat, but it's a 5-shot challenge. And we say, look, can you tell a story with no talking in 5 shots? And we're going to play it in order, your shots in order. I know you can on your own. I know you can add music and this and that, but can you tell a story in 5 images, right? Or 5, individual shots. Because I think now there's the temptation to like, well, it's got to have title. It's got to have this. It's got to be like a fast YouTube video. Sometimes distracts people from like, if you put your phone in a plastic bag, you can go underwater. If you want to, I remember putting a camera in a fish bowl and sticking it, in the water to get underwater shots. Like some filmmaking, like, oh, well, now just get a GoPro. It's waterproof. So I think there's a certain craftiness to filmmaking that, I always appreciated, and it's getting maybe a little too easy now where, I don't know, sometimes going to Home Depot and building a dolly was like half the fun of like, oh, I'm going to build my own Steadicam. And, like that was half the fun. And you get the shot and my family's just laughing, watching me run around the backyard with this Steadicam, with what looks like a pile of garbage that I built. I'm like, but look how smooth the shots are. And they're like, yeah, good for you, buddy. Go back out there with your PVC monster that you built.
Do you find that a lot of people try to just do more in editing rather than just focusing on the shooting the moment?
Well, it depends on what it is, right? Because obviously there's a certain like pacing and editorial style that a YouTube video has that kind of a short film or a feature film does. I think we create based on what we see, right? What we like to watch. So, one of the things I try to do before I start a new project is I try to really immerse myself in the kind of movie I'm trying to make. Sometimes I'll watch the same movie more than once, with the sound turned off, just so I can like really take in the shots and not so much think about the story, but think about what am I trying to take from this viewing of the movie. And I think if you like watching a lot of really fast edited YouTube stuff or music videos, that's going to impact your style. And depending on the medium you're trying to create, it doesn't always work, you know? So I think that knowing your references really helps, because if not, you're like, well, this scene feels boring. It's like, well, I mean, she does have cancer and you're just talking in a hospital room, so maybe it should be slow, you know. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we slow this one down a little bit, guys. So I think it does happen though, for sure, because so much of what we're consuming is fast, and really visually stimulating that sometimes people forget to slow down.
Right. Well, let's get into it, man. The Mean One in select theaters right now, man. How are you feeling? Because this originally started as a one-night event, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we were. It originally started as a 4-minute trailer filled with my favorite jokes that was never supposed to see the light of day. So, this is what I have December of 2021, and December 2022. We've been in theaters for 2 weeks, out performing like we were the #2 new movie at the box office when we opened. Like, that's crazy to me.
Awesome.
But thank you. I mean, we feel great. I mean, it's, we're a teeny little independent film. We shot, with around 14 or 15 people every day for 14 days in May, 6 months later, hoping to just do, maybe it'll be a streaming release and, people would get to watch it on, whatever streaming platform they have on their TV and have a laugh. But to go from, okay, it's only going to play, we think there's an opportunity to go theatrical. Maybe we'll give you one night. Okay, maybe we can give you one weekend, to like, hey, you've been extended. You're going up against Avatar. I mean, that is, it's nuts. It's daunting and it's scary, but it's also, it's exciting. I'm really proud. I know the whole team is really proud. Everybody showed up to the premiere and has been like, you guys have to see this movie, please. And we really want to be around for Christmas. And it's possible. It's definitely possible that The Mean One is around for Christmas, but people have to go see it this weekend. And we have to, make an impact, as they say.
So now let me ask you this, because you did say it was the #2 movie. How does it feel? Because as I was like looking through it and I was checking it out, like you got a lot of like critics and different websites talking down on the movie, but then like you said, it's #2 movie. Everybody that watches it says it's a great film. And even me, like when I was like watching it, and I was like, at one point I'm like, yo, this is a great film for it. And I stopped myself. I'm like, nah, this is a great film.
Right.
Like, all the way around. Like,
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think I don't read the reviews, is what I'll say. But obviously I get Google alerts that tell me, oh, hey, here's the headline, and the headline's not great. So I've definitely sort of seen the reviews, and I really appreciate hearing you say that. And really what I kind of think is happening is, the way screeners are shown is, somebody gets a link and then, they watch it on their TV or their phone or whatever. And it's a low budget film. That's a fact. We're not pretending like it's not. And I think that some people maybe don't get it in the first 5 minutes that the whole thing is a joke,
Right.
Or they're expecting something different because the trailer makes it seem like maybe it's a little more horror when it's like intentionally campy. I mean, it's the feel good horror movie of the season, right? Is my hope, and so it has been kind of interesting to talk to people who are like, dude, so I read the reviews and what movie were they watching? Because I really liked it. And I'm like, I don't know. I made the movie for people like you, so I'm glad you guys, you liked it. And, when I go, because, I don't have a hobby, it's just this. So periodically I'll go to the theater nearby if I see there's going to be a lot of people there, and I'll just go and I'll sit in the back and watch and to listen to everybody laughing at the jokes and kind of yucking it up and having a good time. I'm like, these are the people I made the movie for. And, if we can make somebody's Christmas a little funnier or maybe a little scary, then I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil the movie, but there's a couple of scenes that when I was in the audience, we really laughed at. I really was cracking up laughing when I'll just say there was a little girl and she had to hand over a police sketch, and the whole audience busted out laughing.
Yep.
I was,
Yeah.
yeah. And then,
Thank
so I
you.
want to ask you this. So
we're going to have those. We have those available, by the way. We're going to be we're going to start sending them out to people because that scene always gets a laugh. And we went through so many iterations on that drawing. I'm like, what's the most ridiculous sketch we could have? And, every time, I think what I love about it is not when people laugh the first time. It's the third time the drawing comes up.
Yeah.
When people are just laughing again, where I'm like, yes, we've done it. We've done it. Sorry. Go ahead, Freezus.
No, I was gonna say, and I definitely feel like I would say this because you can pretty much. I like the twist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just a cool thing. I'm not going to say anything for anybody who's going to see it, but it's just like I said, you just really like embodied it, and I feel like you added a real feel to what Mike Finch would have been.
Right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I think that anyone that thinks that this is like some kind of shameless cash grab of like just use the name and don't do anything with it. Like, yes, we don't have the budget of a big movie where the world looks like everyone's got the nose and the world looks cartoony. But we did put a lot of research and time and energy and love into it. We love these characters. We love the source material. And the writers, I gave them the outline for sure, but they definitely picked up the ball and ran with it. And it was really important to them that the ending have the same theme as the original story. So we kind of take our left turn at the beginning of the film, but ultimately kind of find its way back to still retaining the original heart and soul of the story, which is something that initially I was like, oh, are you sure? And then we test screened it and we worked on it. And I feel really satisfied with the way it turned out.
Now, oh, go ahead, Freezus.
No, are you want to go?
Either or, it doesn't matter.
Now, when you were originally putting it together, did you want to kind of make it to be comedic, or was it because it was just like it ended up being, like I said, the jokiness of it is good as well, but then you got some real action, and then you got some it borderlines, and I don't want to say it like this because
it's not forced jokes either.
I don't like to compare people, but you really but this is one of my reasons why I love this guy. But you really gave me like a Seth Rogen-ish kind of feel because you had the action, you had the laughs, you had like the touchingness. You really touched on everything, and it was like you just brought it all together with a chef's kiss.
Thank you. That was something we set out to do. I mean, it was really important to me that we preserve the spirit of the source material, but also, I'm a horror fan. I like all different kinds of horror movies, but I'm not big into like one of the reasons why I kind of stay away from like zombie films is I don't like movies that bum me out, right? So like horror films that I really enjoy are movies that kind of have like some fun to them, right? Movies like Gremlins or like Krampus is really silly and goofy. I really enjoy, like, one of my favorite classic monster movies would be the Brendan Fraser Mummy. It's like so much fun. And so, we really wanted that spirit of fun and adventure, not have the movie take itself too seriously. Because as soon as you introduce 10 beautiful young people with no discernible character traits, like, okay, till each one of them gets off. And we just didn't want to make that movie, it was definitely a balancing act. Is this too funny? Is this too serious? Have we gone too long without a joke? What kind of jokes? It's not just zany for the sake of zany, but we're hoping it's just a fun watch for people and maybe ends up on somebody's rewatch list. I don't know.
Yeah. What is it like working with David Howard Thornton? Like, what is he like?
David is the man. He is so nice and so cool and really exceptionally talented. Every single time that he would come out on set, first of all, the makeup was so cool. I mean, he is the mean one. And when he would just kind of stroll out on set, he can't resist but like dance around and moonwalk and, kind of do all these crazy exaggerated things. And once the makeup's on, there's no taking it off. So at lunchtime, the mean one's just sitting there fully dressed with someone having to feed him because he can't breathe out of his nose, so the mean one's just sitting there, and then someone feeds him, feeds him his food, but he's great. And, the way that he goes from scary to funny, you know, in the same moment is fantastic, because there's just something about the way he expresses through the makeup, and the way that, you know, as a performer, sometimes, you know, if he's going to crawl out of the chimney, I'm like, let's make this one scary. Let's make this one silly. And, you know, we've got so much footage of not just scenes that were cut from the movie, but scenes that where he just did different takes, where if this scene in the movie is now scary, there's a zany take, or there's a funny take, or a silly take. Even with the kills, you know, we would plan out the stunts and the gags, but before he, you know, okay, you're going to stab the tree with the candy cane, but you can do it however you want. We've rigged it up. It's safe. You know, you can twist it fast, you can twist it slow, you can look malicious, or, you know, and we would just do 2 or 3 takes, and he would just give us so much. And for a guy with no lines, I mean, he really built a great character, and it's so awesome to watch him work. We knew the first time he came out and he danced out of the fireplace and went to attack Cindy. And then I called cut, and he immediately dropped character and looked up and was like, how is that? Again, fully dressed in wardrobe. And the whole crew just started clapping. You know, they had never met this man. Most of them had never seen him out of makeup. And the whole crew that, you know, didn't see him at all before then just started clapping. And I said, okay, we got him here. He's on.
That's all right.
So, and that's what I was gonna say. Like for a guy with no lines, like he really like was able to like express himself very well. You it's almost to the point you don't realize that he doesn't talk until you get to the end. But like he did. He embodies like maniacal and zany and all of that in the same aspect.
It's not everyone can do it, for sure. And what was super cool was he you know, he has a stunt double who does some of the harder things, you know, the rolls and some of the final fight. You know, we would have the double on standby in case we needed to switch something out. You know, the close-ups are all him, and more of the movie than I would have ever guessed ended up being him, because the stunt team is awesome, and, you know, they kind of work together. And sometimes we'd have the double in the suit, so you'd see 2 mean ones working through the fight choreography. And then when the time comes to shoot, David's like, I'll give it a try. And, you know, he would get it. So it's really only for like the really dangerous stuff. But it's so cool to see, you know, when you have a stunt performer trying to mirror David, you know, just to, whether it's to take a hit or to drag on the floor, whatever it is that, you know, it's safer to not have David do. He's great and he's awesome, and they worked on it together, but there's only one mean one, and it's David, for sure.
Right.
I mean, he puts the makeup on, and it's just, he's the guy, you know, and it's really cool to watch.
That's all right. So Crystal Martin, what made you go with her as the leading lady to play Cindy? Because I mean, I like her character, but I liked her even more at the end when she really kind of took it up a notch. No spoilers, but what made you go with her to play that role?
Well, you know, originally my thought was that Cindy was going to be a little girl, you know, was going to be someone, maybe not the age of, you know, the source material, but someone, you know, small and diminutive, and it would be more like Home Alone. But we've seen that done so many times. They even did it in Violent Night, where, you know, you have this, you have to really kind of come up with some creative ways to have someone small and, you know, relatively diminutive go toe to toe with someone much bigger and much stronger. Right. I mean, he could just hug her and fall over. She loses the fight. I mean, that's it. And I've known Crystal for a while. She was actually in a Powerpuff Girls fan film that I made years ago. She played Bubbles. So she had this like childlike wonder about her, even though she is a statuesque stunt performer who doubles Ronda Rousey all the time. And, you know, we said, okay, what if instead of getting a kid and trying to train her up and find creative screenwriting, filmmaking magic ways to make her a badass, what if we started with a badass and in the script wrote her backwards? So at that point, you know, we had to have our stunt coordinator teach her. I mean, she's a great boxer. She's phenomenal with short swords. She rolls up on set in her motorcycle with her leather jacket, and she's like, I'm ready to work. I'm like, Crystal, oh my God, can you dial it? Can you dial it back, please? Like, you're just doing the crunches in the corner, making us all feel bad.
Wow.
And so she had to do, I wouldn't say training, but it was the real challenge of, or not challenge, but it was a job for our stunt coordinator Terrence, to who's awesome, to like, okay, in this scene, we're only halfway through the movie. She needs to throw a bad punch, right? So like, oh, you know, okay, if she's supposed to not know how to use this gun, you can't hold it like a pro. So she actually had to like practice holding the gun poorly, because the first time she drew it, I'm like, that's awesome. We're 5 minutes into the movie. It makes no sense for you to know, put your finger on the trigger. She's like, oh, all my training tells me not to do that. I'm like, yeah, safety last. You need to make this look, you know, like you don't know what you're doing, to make that ending all the more satisfying. We tried to get a double for her, but you can't double the double, right? I mean, if she, you know, she takes hits for Ronda Rousey and a bunch of other people that she looks like she's doubled them before. She gets set on fire all the time and stuff. So, you know, I think it's, so it's really fun to be able to have someone who's able to do all that and wants to come to the rehearsals and, you know, well, you know, if I put a little padding on, he can throw me into the tree. I'm like, we have to shoot for another 5 days. I can like this. Let's just dial it back for a second. Okay. So yeah, she's great.
I got two questions. One in relations. So there's a scene towards the end, right before the final scene, and she's standing by a window and she does like this pop lock move to like look out the window. Whose idea was it to move like Omarion? Was that hers or yours?
No, that's all her. That's all her.
It was an excellent touch. Like I was like,
oh yeah.
Well, it's the thing is, you know, because that's part of it, right? When you're making a feature, you shoot out of order. And, you know, one of the things I told her is I was like, because she, you know, this is her first feature as a lead, which I'm like shocked. I'm like, well, definitely not your last, because you're amazing. But she really had that. She was like, oh, what can I do to like prepare for this? Because I've never done a full movie end to end before, every single day on set. And I said, you got to really know your arc and know where you are. Because when you pull it apart, you know, at this point, if you become a master with a handgun and, you know, you know your way around the knife and stuff, if you heard a noise outside, how would you react in that moment? And so I called the cue for the noise outside. In the very first take, she pops up and she like hits a mark, and then she, you know, rolls down to the knee. And then one of my favorite things in every action movie is no one ever just runs from point A to point B. They always tactical roll just because it looks cool. You know, it's not faster. We've done the math. It's not faster to land and roll. It's faster to just run, but it always looks cool. So I'm like, and then can you give me a tactical roll? And she was like, yeah, I'll give you a roll. And she poses, and then she goes and rolls through the scene, grabs the knife, always gets a laugh. And I'm like, it's the stupidest thing. This is not faster. This doesn't help with anything, but it looks awesome and it's ridiculous. Let's do it. And she
I wish I could have rewinded that. When I saw it, I was like, I wish I could have rewinded that.
It's absurd. It's crazy. I love it. And every time, and that's one of the things I think maybe some people didn't get, that it takes itself so seriously that it's funny. Like that's the point. It's supposed to be so serious. There's like, that monster is here to kill me, and it's a giant green guy with a hat. I mean, it's supposed to be ridiculous. And when people get that, I think sky's the limit.
Yeah, I think. Oh, you had a second. My bad. Freeze is good.
So now, what was it like working with Chase Mullins, who played Officer Burke?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Oh yeah, Chase is so cool. He is really like that in real life. Like there's a line where he goes to correct Cindy, and you know, she's like, "Oh, people asked, did Frankenstein kill your granny too?" And he's like, "Oh, you know, Frankenstein's actually the name of the doctor, not the the monster." And it always makes me laugh, because I'm like, that's really him. That is 100. He does that all the time. He's like, "Steve, so for this shirtless scene, can I blah blah blah?" And I'm like, he's a cartoon character. But Chase is great, super dedicated, crazy hardcore. You know, it always impresses me when someone makes something really hard look really easy. And with some of these, like, you know, the campy, cheesy lines, they don't work if the acting isn't good. Right. And he really brings a real like heart to the character of Burke, and being able to like say a joke with a straight face, like some of those jokes with the hunter, being able to say those jokes with a straight face is the only thing that makes that funny. And he does such a great job, and he's down to do anything. That shower scene we built that shower, you know, so like it was full of very dangerous like wires and lighting and stuff. And I'm like, one of us is going to get electrocuted. And he's like, for the movie, I'll do it. I'll stand in the kiddie pool under the exposed wires and you have blood sprayed all over me. I mean, he was great. And he's actually one of the leads in my next film.
Okay.
Where he also plays a bumbling cop, interestingly enough. Yeah, he's great. I love working with Chase.
I think for me, it's his facial expressions, because I know in the movie there were a couple of times where he kind of looked at Cindy like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, yep. It's a balancing act, right? Because you know he's clearly into this woman, and you know, but what she's saying is crazy. I mean, the very first time we realized this too, we're on set where you know, they're coming to the realization that this thing might be real. And she says the mean one, and it wasn't scripted. You know, they have this moment where they're both looking at the screen, and, you know, he turns to look at her. I'm like, oh, you guys are like really close. You should play that beat, you know, like it's something like there's maybe some chemistry here. And they said, okay, they went to do it. And she turns and she's like, you know, they're like, oh, he's like, oh, I think something's going on here. And she says, the mean one. It's the first time he's heard that the name of the creature out loud. And it's just Chase all naturally looks at her. He's just like, right. And then he goes, you know, he goes back into it. That's all Chase. And it's just, you know, he wants to be there. He wants to love her, but some of it's kind of crazy. And the way he goes back and forth on it is really fun.
So movies is one of my things. And like, even when I was in college, I took a movie watching course, things like that. And like, even down to like the silent films, like Buster Keaton all the way back then. One thing I can say that you did, the cuts in this movie were like excellent. Even just like, there's one scene where she's like, oh, he'll listen to me. And it's like, nope. Like,
yep. That's honestly, that's in the script. That's in the script. The Flip and Finn, they really wanted to, you know, it's really neat. Flip, you know, has written, along with Cindy Marcus, his partner, they have written all of these movies for Disney, right? Pocahontas 2, Beauty and the Beast 2. I think their biggest one was The Lion King 2. Like, you know, they were like the animated sequel people before they transitioned into doing live action. And Finn is his son. So Flip's wife was pregnant with Finn when The Lion King 2 came out. And now, however many years later, Finn is writing with his dad. And so it's super cool to see the two of them, because Flip brings kind of that classic Hollywood, you know, 90s adventure fun sense to his writing. And then Finn is like just finished college. So he's got his finger on the pulse. He has a TikTok, you know, so to see the two of them, their tones kind of gel and collide is fun, because little jokes like that come from their two minds, you know, being like a whole generation apart, kind of really gave the movie kind of an edge. And so jokes like that are actually, you know, some of these editorial jokes are in the script. And I think it comes from the two of them having those different sensibilities and meshing them really well.
All right.
Definitely.
So as far as the whole streaming, it was originally supposed to be streaming, I think, earlier in the month, correct? Is that still going to be a thing with the theaters, or are they pushing that back?
No, we're pushing it back. I mean, we are, I guess, victims of our own success. Part of the arrangement when you do a theatrical release, when you're in a little film like ours, is that if it's still in theaters, we can't stream it, right? We agreed that, you know, they didn't want, if we're going to go to theaters, they're like, you got to swing for the fences on the theaters. They don't want to hear that you are going to use theaters as just a marketing tool to get more streams, right? So like, look, you're going to go to theaters. We're going to put you in over 150 theaters. We have to know that people have to go to the theaters to see the movie. And so we're like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's just one night. What's the worst that could happen? And then one thing led to another, and now we're still in theaters, which is amazing. But it does mean that we have to push kind of the streaming release.
Fantastic.
Alexa, shut up.
Oh.
What are you doing? But yeah, so it did mean that we had to push the streaming release, which is a bummer, because there's still a lot of people that can't see the movie. Both, you know, we're only in theaters in the US for right now, but we have big plans for next year. And I know that anyone that can't see the mean one, whether it's you know, in America or beyond, this year will definitely be everywhere by next Christmas for sure. Hopefully
That's
sooner.
all right. I definitely want to get a copy of it. I don't know. Is it going to be possible to do a Blu-ray?
Definitely. And I know this for sure because so many people have asked. And I think that some of the shakeup in our industry with like, oh, I have HBO Max. They're like, oh, but we're taking the HBO shows off.
Right.
has made people, not just collectors, but people that like really want to take ownership of their thing, especially a little independent film like this. They want that physical thing, because there are some streaming movies that I really dig that not everyone's a fan of. And if it leaves Netflix, where will you get it?
Right.
Like if you don't physically own it, where will it be? So we definitely have plans to do that. I want to do a director's commentary, because there's a million, you make a movie under $100,000, there's a million ridiculous stories that, like,
That's exactly why I like the Blu-rays, because I like the behind the scenes, the cuts, everything. Yeah.
I'm a director's commentary kind of guy myself.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. Well, look, there's going to be some good stuff on there. I want to try to get, I'll probably do myself and Mayor McBean, who's also one of the producers on the movie, and my fiance, probably her. And then we'll get David together and we'll do just like we'll just sit down, we'll watch the film through and talk about the leaky pipes and the fake snow and that goat. My God, that damn goat. I can't believe they let me put that in the movie, but just all that good stuff. We're working on a making of behind the scenes. And then if possible, because, we shot the movie in May and the movie came out in December. So like we put the whole thing together in 6 months, never thinking that it would play on, many, many, many very, very big screens.
Wow.
I'm thinking of doing like an unrated director's cut. We wanted to make a film that was fun and, an adventure. And I have plenty of people who are like, I went with my mom and she actually really liked it. I'm like, yeah, it's a Hallmark horror movie, right? But I kind of want to put some of the more scary, gory stuff back in. So I'm thinking maybe there will be like like an unrated director's cut or something.
Nice.
If they'll let me do it. Because there's like a scene with a flashback to the mayor and the mean one, when she first, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's some scenes that got cut and there's some stuff that took the film to a scarier place that we opted not to, that I think some people would really enjoy, because there's some horror fans who are like, oh, can we get some more like mean one? Can we get some more David? I'm like, well, it exists. So,
it gave it a Grimm's kind of like, because how they say all those old school movies, like, they were based in those Grimm's fairy tales. Like it kind of gives it that kind of like I said, it gives it a reality to me more so than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. So if we were to do a physical release, I'm pushing. I'm like, come on, guys, let's do like an unrated. Let's put some of the crazier stuff back in, because I think people would really dig it. So yeah, we're definitely going to do that for sure.
I love the mayor's part too. Not to spoil anything, but there's a part towards the end where she had an interaction because she was trying to go somewhere, and then she just looked at him like, "Well, fix it."
Yeah. Yep.
I don't care what you got to do, fix it.
And the crazy thing is that people think like, oh, she's Mayor McBean and she's the producer, she must be like a tyrant, and Amy's like the nicest person. She's like, when you see her behind the scenes interviews and stuff, like she's just so bubbly and energetic and full of life. And a lot of people don't know she's also an accomplished stunt performer. She's the one that introduced me to our stunt coordinator, because they train, with collie sticks and broadsword and, all this crazy stuff. And some of the crew didn't know that Amy was an accomplished stunt performer. And so there's a scene where she does this like big flip and a wreck, she crashes down onto the ground and the crew's like, oh my God, we killed the producer. And then she got up. She's like, guys, I'm fine. I do this all the time. So it's, you just never know. You don't judge a book by its cover,
Right.
So now, let me ask you this. Why should people see this movie?
People should see The Mean One because it is a fun horror comedy. It's support independent artists for sure, but I think it's just a fun time. You get your friends together, get some popcorn, grab a drink, and just have a laugh and maybe a few scares watching the feel-good horror movie of the year.
It definitely is that. And like I said, you definitely got a cult classic on your hands. Like it's to me, like it's one of those cult classics, like the original Boondock Saints, things like that. Like it's definitely one of those time for years. People are just like, it's definitely one of those. Like I said, I'm gonna need 2 copies. One I'm gonna play and one I'll just hold on to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna need an autographed copy and poster.
Okay. Well, we don't have physical media. I can get you that poster, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the poster in the meantime.
That's so awesome, man, to be mentioned with that. I mean, look, are not, there's no soulless corporation behind this, right? I had a silly idea. I got a bunch of my friends together and we put a movie together, you know, to try to make a few people laugh. So to hear anybody that wants to not just watch it, but rewatch it, like, just makes me smile. And The Mean One's going to be around for years to come. It'll be more accessible as time goes on. And, you know, we make some people laugh and giggle and chuckle at the, you know, the monster and the blood and the silliness of it. Like, mission accomplished. That's what we set out to do.
I don't know, Freezus, do you have any more questions? Because I do have a final question.
If you ever need a husky comedic black guy, you can always holler at me.
I know, right?
Hell yeah, brother. Where are you living? Where are you located?
I'm in North Carolina. I actually grew up in Jersey, though. That's why I asked what part were you from. But
oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm in North Carolina. And if I got to, I will travel.
I love it. Well, hey, you never know. You know, whatever I do next, I think we'll see. I know that there's I've already chatted with my I know the Fuzz and the Lens guys who are some of the producers of Terrifier, and they're like, dude, you know, we all went to high school together, and every time we hang out, you know, they got the East Coast, I got the West Coast, and every time we hang out, we're like, how come we have not shot something together like since high school? You know, we've just like, oh man, I went to go see your movie. It was so much fun. They're like, oh man, I went to go see your movie. You know, like we're just kind of doing our own thing on both coasts. And they're like, hey, like we got to make a movie together, but you got to come here. You got to come home to shoot it. And I was like, all right, fine. So I have a meeting over the holidays when I'm home. I'm going to see grandma. I'm going to have some lasagna, and I'm going to go chat with the Terrifier folks and see if what we do next, you know, could be a nice little co-production. So we'll see what happens.
That's all right. The only other question I had was, looking at the success of this film, what do you think are the odds of there being a sequel?
Well, I know that people have asked me about a sequel for sure. So I know that a lot of people are fired up and like, okay, but if you had a little bit more time, you know, or more resources or whatever, like, could you do a sequel? Because of the interesting nature of what we did, you know, I have been politely requested to not talk about a sequel. You know, they're
absolutely,
like, hey,
totally understand.
You know, this is just this is a special thing, and you know, we did it, but let's see where this one goes first and stuff. So I have no plans for a sequel, but if I did, it'd be like 10 pages, and there'd be sketches and an outline, and you know, a whole bunch of stuff in a notebook in my office. But there isn't, and it doesn't exist. So there's no sequel plans. But if there were, it would be crazy because there'd be new monster designs and like and there'd be a dog with horns, and you know, there'd be blood, and is it a strip club or a strip mall, or you know, but there isn't. So I have no plans, and there isn't going to be a sequel. But if there was, it would be all those things, and it would be crazy.
That's all right.
And that's all I can say about that. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm telling you, when I do some of these podcasts, sometimes Amy, Mayor McBean, is lurking in the background, and people ask the sequel question. She just gives me that Mayor McBean look, and I'm like, no, there's no plans, no plans for a sequel. We're not. I got nothing. Everything's fine. You know.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, this.
I know not to piss off my fiance.
Hey, I get it. But yeah, Freezus, if you don't have any more questions, man.
Well, all right. So my last one, because this is something I've always wanted to ask the producer of a movie, because I always wanted this when I watch films sometimes. If you were to give it a time frame, how many days would you say that movie spanned? Like the actual movie itself.
Oh, our film?
Yeah, like the actual.
Oh, it's
from
4
the time
weeks.
they get into town to like the time.
It's 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Because we know that basically the thought is they're one of these families that they're driving into town the weekend after Thanksgiving. Like there was even a Thanksgiving scene that we had originally put in that we took out. So we know they're one of those families that's like right after Thanksgiving, they put up the Christmas tree. And then the events, so they're only in town for a couple of days. And that's why they don't notice that there's no Christmas decorations in town, because they're, you know, it's still very early in December, late November when the movie starts. And then once we get to kind of that Rocky sequence, that happens over the course of 2.5 weeks. And then once you get to the finale of the movie, you know, that's Christmas Eve. So yeah, it's about 3.5 to 4 weeks. So we got it down. I know exactly what it is. There is also a part in the film where we were going to use like an advent calendar, you know, and as she takes the chocolates out of the out of the advent calendar, she's counting down the days to when they go toe to toe. But yeah, 4 weeks.
And the guns were nice. You ain't got to say too much because I don't want to ruin it for nobody, but the guns were a very nice touch.
Oh, thank you. I have them both. I will not be selling them. But people love asking about those. I'm sorry?
Will they work in real time?
You know, you want to laugh. The very first day. So Crystal is, she's a strong, very strong woman. And, you know, these are airsoft guns that, you know, we hand painted and stuff to give them kind of the designs. And you're not spoiling anything. They're in the trailer. But the very first time she rolls and, you know, she breaks it out and she cocks the shotgun, you know, she's used to working with big metal, you know, much more expensive prop weapons. Mm-hmm. And so if you look really closely on the shotgun, you can see a single piece of white tape because in the very first take, she gets the gun and she cocks it and the gun goes and breaks in half. And the stunt coordinator's like, well, there's She-Hulk for you. You know, she broke the prop. And they're like, Steve, do you have another one? And I'm like, no, we all had, like, did you see lunch? No, we don't have another shotgun. All right, let's take 15 minutes. And Crystal turned bright red. She says, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. It's totally fine. I'm just going to go repair the only shotgun we have. Okay. So, yeah, it's one of one. And no, it no longer functions. But you know, there's every weapon on her situation does have a purpose. And some of them didn't make it into the final cut. But I sketched out like a whole bunch of different like weapons and stuff and things she could use. And then I saw Violent Night. I was like, all right, they got some good ones, but some of them, they missed a few. And if I was to ever do more of Christmas action, I'd definitely be bringing out some more of those weapons. So stay tuned for that.
Right. Absolutely, man. Steven, we really appreciate you taking time out to come talk to us about this movie.
No worries. I appreciate you guys going to see it and telling people. Please tell people that you liked it.
People, everybody that I get a chance to, I tell them to.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And you know, anyone that's listening, the best thing you could do, if you've seen it and you liked it, is to is just tell people, because we don't have this massive marketing budget. We're not on billboards and TV spots and stuff. And you know, my Christmas wish is that the Mean One is here for Christmas, and you know, we just got to survive to make it there. So we're only promised to be there till the 22nd of December for right now, and fingers crossed we're around for Christmas.
Absolutely. Where can people follow you at, Steven? Where can they follow your journey?
If people want to stay in touch with me, they can connect with me. The best place is on Instagram. I post not really, but my stories, I tend to be like, I'm on set. Look at this thing I just painted. So they follow me at StevenLaMorte.com. And if you want to follow the movie, all of our social is the same. It's at The Mean One Movie. So that's for Instagram and Facebook. And we post, you know, if we're doing events or we're adding screenings and showtimes, that's the best way to find out.
Fantastic, man. Freezus, anything you want to say before we roll out?
Last chance, make it count.
Let me go.
Consult your notes.
Let me go through my notes, see if I missed anything that
I'm here, guys. I'm happy to chat with you. And we got more big news and stuff. Let's do it again. Let's spin it up.
Absolutely.
When I get those
projects, any projects you have coming up, definitely let us know. We'd love to have more interviews with you. Definitely.
For sure. If you want to chat with any of the other team, let me know, and I'm just sure to connect you guys because you're good people. So
yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think we're good. I think we're good.
You got it. All right. Kick ass, guys.
Thanks so much for your time. Then, everybody, go see The Mean One. Great independent film. You'll have a good time. Take a friend, take two friends, go see this movie. It's a really good movie. Support independent film. That's what I'm saying.
And it really is a great film. All the way.
Oh, I love it. Thank you guys so much. And thanks everybody for listening.
Absolutely. Everybody, we're out. This is powered by OvertimeHustling.com. You guys already know I'm Cuzzo. This is Freezus. That is the one, the only Steven LaMorte. And we're out.
We're out. You have a good one.